I welcome you again to Contoveros Comments. This is a weekly presentation that is produced by my good friend Karen McKay and directed also by Karen. Tonight we have a special topic, and this is a topic that Karen had suggested after I came back from a Vietnam veteran retreat. I had sent her a little note, and in my note I said that there's a battle outside and it's raging within. We fight one disturbance after another, hoping against hope that we can defeat what is sometime an unseen enemy. You can't win, I can't win, but we can if we do it together, and we must do it together. Since then, what Karen has done is to go through the archives, research, and we've come up with three topics of, I think, particular interest to me, and I believe you will also agree. Changing the world, internal work, consciousness, and unity. Let's start off first with the internal work. I'm a child of the 60s, and in the 60s there was a belief in the United States that the world can be changed, that if you got together in a group and made your voices heard, you could change the world. You can change the outcome. You can change the attitude. And a lot of it centered around the Vietnam War. Eventually, it also had its roots in and later through the Black Revolution and eventually women's liberation itself. Since then, we've had gay liberation and a whole bunch of other consciousness raising, none of which really worked. Oh yeah, we have some things in our laws. The Supreme Court has allowed some things and disbarred some other things. But the only changes that worked, ladies and gentlemen, were not from the outside. It was not the pressure on the powers that be, the countries. It was changing from within, the internal change. This is the only lasting change. And what I like to do is to share with you something that I like to call the wisdom inside nature. The wisdom inside nature. What do I mean by that? Well, if you study nature, you find out that there is a certain balance, and this balance is involved with every aspect of creation. It starts off with the still, the rocks, the earth, the air, the water. Then you have what we call the vegetative state, which is the grass, the trees, the things that grow out of the ground, the vegetables, the fruit. Above that, you have the animal world. Of course, we have the cats, the tigers, the monkeys. And above all of that is the human, the speaking, the human type of animals. Well, we're the talking animals. What happens is that we all have a different type of internality. Uh, what happens with the internality is the humans have the only ability to change within. They can use their thoughts, and by using their thoughts, have the intention to form a new type of reality. Well, what the heck are you talking about? A new type of reality by just your thoughts, by your internal thoughts, by your intention? Yes, your intention, what you intend to do, what you seriously set out to do, will form the reality. What do I mean by that? Reality involves you and the outside world. It involves me and what is outside of me. I have the impetus, I have the drive, I have the compass pointing to where I am choosing my reality to be and among. Now, I can choose to be an angry type of reality, which I have been doing for many of my years. This is how I view the world of competition, the world where I used to work as a lawyer, where I used to work as a journalist, as a union organizer. And it was a harsh world. It was a world where there was dog eat dog, and you had to fight to climb to the top. The intent was to win. Unfortunately, sometimes at any cost. So that was the intent. And you know something? I saw that in my reality. And a lot of times I didn't trust people because I started to view them as the same way that I was viewing myself. The intent can be formed a different way. Instead of anger, competition, drive, you can have the more softer, the more lovable, the more compassionate intent. And I believe this is the intent that nature wants us to have. What do I mean by that? What the minute nature wants us to have compassion? Nature has two things going for it. It gives pleasure. We, the nature dwellers, the nature receivers, receive pleasure. This applies to every animate object, every still, vegetative, human, animal. We like pleasure. We don't like pain. We try to avoid pain. We try to get away from it as much as possible, and we seek the pleasure. Rocks do the same thing. You ever look at a crystal in a cave? It will grow, it will enlarge. Maybe hundreds of years for it to grow and enlarge, but it will be moving. It'll be reaching down from the top of that cave to where it can grow. Same thing can be said about the vegetative world. Flowers, they open up in the morning when the sun is out. And some of them close up at night when it starts to get a little cold. They avoid the pain and they open to the pleasure. Same thing with animals. You hit a dog and he is going to jump and cower the next time you walk into the room. You feed the dog and he'll kiss you by licking your hands, your face, and love you. You are giving him pleasure. You are becoming the nature to the dog, to the vegetable garden, to the... you ever have a pet rock? You guys are too young to remember pet rocks. But you get the picture. And same with us. We avoid disturbances, distress. We try to avoid bad things, what we perceive as bad things. We seek pleasure.
Michael, one of our viewers is asking, shall we feed the people to become friends? Does it work the same way with people?
I'm sorry, what was the first part?
Shall we feed the people like the dog?
Well, aren't we feeding people every time we come in contact with them? Aren't we having some sort of input and stimuli, and even if it's just a nod, a hello, a eye-to-eye contact, perhaps on a train or walking down the street? Too often we don't want to make that eye contact. We don't want to become involved. When we go in an elevator, what do? We look at the floor, we look at the walls, we look at anything but the person next to us. We don't want to have a conversation. We don't want to be open. It is not appropriate. This is what I'm talking about. We should be open to the stranger. I'll tell you, I have gained so much by opening to strangers, people I don't know, giving of myself and getting back from them. Let me just tell you, it was a blog I read recently. It had to do with a PBS special. This is over in England, and it was a vicar. I guess he's like a minister in the Episcopalian or whatever religion, I'm not sure. But he wanted to be like St. Francis of Assisi. He was the Catholic dude. He came from a rich family. He fought in the Crusades, and he gave up everything for poverty and he became the patron saint of animals and birds and whatnot. Well, he was poor, and he would beg, and he would be humble. The vicar, trying to live like St. Francis for 1 week, found out that he had to be humble. He had to approach someone with all humility and engage them lovingly, compassionately. He was dependent on their good graces. Now, you and I, we might see a beggar on the street and try and figure out, well, what is he? I mean, is he a professional beggar? Am I going to give him money? Is he going to go and do some drugs? And we're hesitant. But with this vicar, people did give. And what the vicar noticed after speaking to these people, of course, there were television cameras following the vicar, and after these people had shown their generosity by giving money and giving alms to help this poor man on the street, they talked about how good they felt in giving. They did not expect anything in return when they bestowed upon this vicar on the street. Okay, some people will say, look, you're always expecting something. And some scientists came up and said, yeah, you know something, when you're altruistic, when you're giving all the time, you get these things, these chemicals through your brains. Yeah, these chemicals are called dopamines. And they give you a euphoric feeling. You feel good, you feel high, maybe you feel godlike. Nah, godlike? No. But what if you get hooked on dopamines? What if you want to give and get high? Give and feel good. What if you take the needle and shoot it up? Yeah, let me give. I don't want anything in return, man. Just let me give. You'd probably be put in a crazy house. Yeah. But there is something about creating your own reality through your intent. Next time you're looking and you have time, just look around you and think of the color red. And just focus on the many things that you will start to see the color red. We all know that when we buy a new car, let's say a BMW, or in my case maybe an old Ford, I start to see that same make of vehicle, a BMW. Hey, I didn't notice all these BMWs all of a sudden. Wow, just like mine. Look at that one over there. I'm seeing it everywhere I go. You send something out to the universe, you will start to see that something. It'll come back to you. Some cases it may come back tenfold. And it could be something that you don't want to send out there, like hate, envy, jealousy. Could be just the opposite. Love, passion. The ability to try and take the suffering from others that you see around you. No, you can't make them rich. You can't change their lives, but you can change how you feel towards them. That is internal changing. And that's the only way that we, you and I, are going to affect the world. Internal. What if 10 people tomorrow say we are going to intend to send nothing but loving thoughts, caring thoughts, compassionate thoughts, and this will be for everyone that we come in contact with for 1 hour. Everyone, the person that cuts us off, instead of giving them a finger, give them a wave and tell them you understand how impatient they can be. They are trying to get the work and they're concerned, and you know that you were in that same position just a week earlier, a year earlier, or maybe next week. You can put yourself in a loving position to understand. And I think when we do that, we are getting closer to what nature is expecting us to become. Or we can face the wrath of nature. We can be hit upside the head with tsunamis, with earthquakes, with disturbances that not only nature from the world around us can cause, but through other people. Disturbances that nature somehow controls people in your own life. People who maybe get out of the wrong side of the bed, that cross you in a certain way, and you have to deal with that. You have to ask yourself, what is wrong? Why am I reacting to this person, my spouse, my loved one, my child, my teacher, my boss? And then all of a sudden nature is hitting you. Hey, wake up, stupid head, dunkhead. You have to change, not them. Take a look at why you are responding, why you are emoting a certain way. Maybe, just maybe, There needs to be a little correction there, a little alteration, a little soul searching.
Oh my God, it's time to move to the next segment.
We'll be right back.